Industry research suggests that the electronic goods market in India was worth over 20,000 crore rupees in 2009. This is slated to grow by a compounded annual growth rate of 15% between 2010 and 2013. A recent report by United Nations Environment Programme or UNEP says e-waste in India will skyrocket by 500% from 2007 levels thanks to old computers to a whopping 7 lakh metric tons. Old mobile phones will be 18 times higher than the number discarded in 2007. And the number of discarded refrigerators are likely to double or triple from 2007 levels.
What might be okay to the civil society, what the NGOs might want, might not be perfectly okay to the manufacturers or the dealers or even the recyclers. So the biggest, or I wouldn't call it the biggest challenge, but yes, it is a bit of a challenge to make sure that a policy comes up which is agreeable or works amicably for all the stakeholders.
The centre's reaction to this issue has been slow. Only this year, a draft policy has been prepared by officials of the Ministry of Forests and Environment, which proposes the manufacturers to be accountable for the disposal of electronic items at the end of its life. Termed Extended Producer Responsibility or EPR, this is a rule common in developed nations. The manufacturer of a mobile phone, for example, will also have to ensure that the phone is disposed of in an eco-friendly and safe manner. If passed, this will become a landmark legislation in India, which till date does not have a proper policy tackling e-waste.
The manufacturers, for example, if there is a manufacturer of a television, he is expected to collect the television which he has sold and then give it to the recyclers. This portion I am not very sure how effective it will be when it is implemented, but then that's been covered in the legislation. So we have to wait and see. But I am very sure that as far as industries are concerned, the legislation will definitely help regularizing the disposal and safe handling of the e-waste.
As of now, only the Hazardous Waste Management Handling and Transboundary Movement Rules 2008 hints at regulating e-waste disposal. But a hint is simply not enough in a country with exploding growth in consumption. So it is now up to industries like the IT sector to take steps on their own to help save the environment.
We realized there was an impending need to do this, educate people about recycling, and we saw what's happening in the IT industry, and therefore as an organization we just took it upon ourselves to really look at the whole concept of recycling and why should people do it.
But the awareness is spreading much slower than the speed at which e-waste is accumulating. Some state governments like Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra and Delhi have taken the initiative to at least study the e-waste scenario in their states and are said to be working out legislation to tackle the same. And as the wheels of the states slowly turn, e-waste mysteriously continues to turn up at our ports, slipping through the loopholes in the law and cracks in policing, which is probably why some responsible organizations, especially in the IT sector, advocate self-policing.
A manufacturing company, be it in Taiwan or in China or in the US, can create the scale to take care of this e-waste far more effectively than thousands of individual companies trying to do that. It's important for them to do it. It's their capability that they have that is unique to managing this e-waste. So we are encouraging, whenever we make a buying decision, we look at those companies that have a clearly articulated policy on e-waste and they've invested in managing e-waste. It's those companies that we buy hardware from.
With the second largest mobile phone network in the world and a rapidly expanding IT industry, India is a ticking time bomb for an environmental calamity.
That's about the dangers of waste generated in India as it marches along the road to prosperity. But toxins are also sailing into the country from developed nations. It's easier to dump waste along our porous coastline. That story is coming up after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching ED Insight. The shipbreaking industry in India is estimated to generate 4,000 crore rupees in revenues every year. But what the industry refuses to include in this figure is the occupational health cost. Hundreds of tons of hazardous waste is generated not just from shipbreaking, but also from direct imports. Prem Shankar finds out why there's just no stopping this phenomenon.
India has slowly become a dumping ground for hazardous waste, and the numbers now are mind-boggling. 44 lakh tons per annum of hazardous waste is generated in the country, according to a report by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. And the National Environmental Engineering Institute in Nagpur, known as NEERI, says 97% of this toxic waste comes from the 12 states in the country. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu are the top 4 waste generating states. Industry body ASSOCHAM expects this number to rise rapidly by 1.5 lakh tons every year. And as India continues to manufacture toxic waste, developed countries are chipping in by sending their hazardous waste to the country. The picture looks grim for the country.
All the hazardous material are carcinogenic. They are neurotoxic and nephrotoxic. The carcinogenic means it causes cancer. Neuro and nephrotoxic means it affects your mental brain intelligence, your IQ level, your kidney gets damaged. So these things will happen and it will spoil the environment.
The biggest contributor